cross my heart and hope to die. Welcome to my dark side.
Join me on Patreon to watch up to 5 episodes of this series and others in advance that are live right now. With that said, enjoy. A faint sound echoed in the distance, soft but enough to stir Goku from his deep slumber. He mumbled groggily, blinking as his vision came into focus. His face was pressed against the dirt, the ground cool beneath his skin. When he tried to push himself up, his body refused to move. His wrists and chest felt heavy, bound tight. Goku glanced down and realized thick, snake-like coils wrapped around him, holding him fast. With a deep sigh, he rolled onto his back and lifted his head, scanning his surroundings. The sight that greeted him was unlike anything he'd ever seen. Hundreds of women filled a vast, circular arena, cheering, shouting, and jeering all at once. Their voices thundered across the open space like a raging storm. Still dazed, Goku sat cross-legged, confusion written all over his face. "Hey, can someone tell me where I am?" he called out, but his words were lost in the deafening roar of the crowd. Then, a calm yet commanding voice rang out above him. "Good, you're awake." Goku lifted his head toward the towering stone steps ahead. At the top stood a palace with 3 women watching from above. In the center was Boa Hancock, her elegant form impossible to mistake. Beside her were her sisters, Sandersonia and Marigold. Hancock raised a graceful hand, signaling her people to quiet down, before turning her piercing gaze toward the bound Saiyan. "Now tell me," she began, her voice both regal and cold. "Why did you come to our island?" Goku hesitated. He wasn't about to explain how a wish from the Dragon Balls had flung him here, so he kept it simple. "I don't really know. I just woke up here," he said, shrugging with an awkward smile. "Liar!" Hancock's voice cracked through the air like a whip as she pointed accusingly at him. "Do you expect us to believe that you arrived here by mere accident? No one comes to Amazon Lily without reason." Half the women in the crowd cheered their empress's words, while the others hissed and jeered at Goku for daring to deceive her. Goku tilted his head, utterly lost. Every small motion Hancock made, the flick of her hair, a simple glance, caused the audience to erupt in adoration. "These people, why do they cheer for you like that? Are you someone important or something? Maybe you can help me figure out what's going on," he said hopefully. Hancock laughed, a soft, mocking sound. "Help you? Foolish man. You stand on the stage of your own public execution." Goku's eyes widened in alarm. "Execution? For what?" "It is because you are a man," Hancock replied coldly as she took her seat upon her serpent throne. "Our people despise men. You take what is not yours, harm the innocent, and bring ruin wherever you tread." "Look, I just want to know where I am," Goku said, frowning. "I'm not from around here." "Then where are you from?" Hancock began, but she was cut off by a sudden shout. "Sister!" All eyes turned toward the massive gate leading to the palace. Marigold stepped through, holding a boy in the air for all to see. "I found him," she declared. The boy struggled fiercely in her grip, his straw hat dangling around his neck, a scar marking his face beneath one eye. "Let me go! I'm gonna beat every single one of you!" The boy, Luffy, yelled, thrashing against the coils holding him. "Beat us!" Sandersonia sneered, her tone venomous. Hancock smirked. "You are speaking to the empress of this island. Everything I do is for my sisters and our people, to protect them from filthy creatures such as yourself." She turned to her audience, her voice booming across the arena. "Neither of these men will leave this island alive." A chilling silence swept through the crowd, followed by murmurs of approval and dread. The women knew their empress's word was final. But then a voice cut through the tension. "Please wait, Hancock." Gasps echoed as a young woman leapt down from the stands and landed before Goku, arms spread protectively. Goku blinked in surprise. "It's you!" he said, recognizing the girl. It was the same woman he had saved from a massive beast on the cliffs earlier. "Marguerite!" Luffy shouted, straining to look at her. "Marguerite, huh?" Nice to see you again. Goku grinned. The young Kuja didn't respond to him. Her hands trembled slightly, but her eyes were firm as she faced her empress. I don't believe these men are lying. I don't believe they mean harm to our country, she declared. Whispers swept through the crowd. Their sister was defending outsiders, men no less. Hancock's eyes narrowed. Tell me your name, child. My name is Marguerite, she stammered, bowing her head low. The law of this land is clear, Hancock said coolly, crossing one leg over the other. For a man to enter Amazon, Lily means certain death. You, a Kuja warrior, should know this well. So tell me, why do you defend them? Marguerite stood tall, forcing herself to meet Hancock's gaze. Because I owe them my life, she said firmly. When I was attacked by a vicious beast in the mountains, she pointed toward Goku, saved me, and if it weren't for him, she gestured toward Luffy, I'd have never made it back alive. The arena fell deathly silent. All eyes watched as Hancock slowly rose from her throne, her long hair swaying as she descended the steep steps one by one. Every movement carried a silent, intimidating grace. Marguerite bowed low, trembling as the Empress approached. Raise your head, honest Marguerite, Hancock said softly. Marguerite obeyed, her chin lifted gently by the Empress's fingers until her eyes locked onto Hancock's mesmerizing gaze. A faint smile curved Hancock's lips as she raised her hands elegantly before her. The air shimmered with power as she spoke the words, Marrow, marrow, marrow. Before Marguerite could even blink, her entire body froze mid-motion, her skin turning smooth and gray like polished marble. What? Goku shouted, his eyes widening in disbelief. What happened? That's the same move she used on me before. But why did she turn to stone? Hancock didn't answer immediately. She turned her back with chilling calmness and walked gracefully back toward her throne, the sound of her heels echoing through the now silent arena. Why did you turn her into stone? She was just trying to help us, Luffy yelled, thrashing about in fury. But Marigold quickly shoved him down, her massive hand pinning him to the ground with ease. Exactly, Hancock replied coldly as she sat, crossing one leg over the other. She helped you. That is forbidden here. Any who aid men are punished without mercy. No, Goku barked, slamming his legs up into the air before launching himself forward with a fluid roll. He twisted his shoulders, slipping out from the tightening snake coils in one smooth motion. The crowd gasped in awe as he landed lightly on his feet, his movement faster and cleaner than any human they had ever seen. Without hesitation, Goku sprinted toward Marguerite's petrified form. He stopped before her, staring at the lifeless expression frozen on her face. His fists clenched tightly, his breath heavy. He couldn't believe it. Why would a ruler, someone so loved by her people, do something so cruel? It reminded him of Namek, of that moment when Frieza killed Krillin right before his eyes. That same fire burned now in his chest, the fury of helplessness, the rage of injustice. He didn't even know Marguerite well, but she had tried to protect him and the boy, knowing full well the risk. She was kind, brave, and undeserving of this fate. And now she stood as cold stone before him. Lowering his head, Goku's body trembled, not from fear, but from rage. His voice came out low and sharp, vibrating with power. How dare you! The air grew tense. Every woman in the stadium stopped breathing for a second. Then Goku raised his head, his eyes blazing like molten gold. How dare you! His roar split the air like thunder. The shockwave of his fury shattered every pane of glass in the palace above. The Kujo women screamed and ducked for cover, the entire island trembling under his voice alone. Hancock leaned forward, her teeth gritted. Who is this man? She thought, her composure cracking. Still seething, Goku turned his head slowly toward Hancock and her sisters. His gaze was sharp as steel. You'll turn this girl back to normal, he said darkly, or else. Or else? Hancock scoffed, trying to mask her unease. Who do you think you are talking to? In an instant, Goku vanished. What? Hancock's eyes widened in shock. Gasps erupted throughout the arena. He was just gone. Before anyone could react, a sudden gust of wind burst before Hancock's throne, and there he was. Goku stood mere feet away from the Empress, his fiery aura faintly flickering around him. "I won't let you hurt innocent people just because of me," Goku said, his voice commanding, calm but dangerous. "I don't care who you are. I won't let your hate hurt anyone else." The three sisters froze. The raw conviction in his words carried a weight that even the Empress couldn't ignore. "You little," Sandersonia snarled, thrusting her massive fist forward. But she struck only air. Her eyes darted left, then right. He was gone again. Suddenly, a voice echoed from across the arena. "Up here!" Everyone turned to see Goku standing casually on the stadium floor, arms folded. His stance was calm, but his presence was overwhelming. "You'll turn her back to normal. Now," he said firmly. The audience erupted into nervous whispers, their disbelief echoing through the stands. No man had ever defied their Empress like this. Hancock studied him in silence for a long moment. Then her lips curled into a smirk. "Very well," she said, rising slowly from her throne. "I'll turn her back to normal, if you can defeat my sister Marigold in battle." Her voice carried a venomous sweetness. Inside, she was already certain of the outcome. When Marigold is finished with him, she thought, he'll wish he'd never dared to challenge me. Goku's expression brightened instantly, his anger giving way to his usual carefree grin. "Really? If I beat her, you'll turn Marguerite back? Awesome, let's do it." Hancock blinked, momentarily caught off guard by how quickly the fiery warrior turned cheerful again. Luffy burst out laughing despite his restraints. "You're pretty funny, spiky-haired man. What's your name? I'm Monkey D. Luffy, and I'm gonna be the kite. Ugh." His introduction was cut short by Marigold's massive fist slamming into his face, knocking him unconscious with a dull thud. "Silence, you brat!" she hissed, tossing him aside like a rag doll. Goku's eyes flicked toward Luffy. He could sense the boy's Kai, faint and scattered. He's hurt. She must have beaten him badly before dragging him here, he thought grimly. "Wait," Goku called out, raising his hand. "Let's compromise. I'll fight both Marigold and Sandersonia at once, if you turn Marguerite back and let Luffy go." "How dare you demand new terms after my sister has already spoken?" Sandersonia snarled. "You should be grateful she even allows you to live long enough to fight." But to everyone's surprise, Hancock raised her hand. "I accept your terms," she said smoothly. Both sisters turned to her in shock. "Big sister," Marigold muttered. "However," Hancock added, her eyes narrowing with a sly gleam, "before you face them, you'll deal with one more opponent." Goku grinned, stretching his neck with a pop. "Heh, the more the merrier, I guess." Hancock turned and pointed toward the gates of the arena. "Release Bakura." The crowd erupted into murmurs of excitement and dread. With a heavy clang, the massive gates creaked open. From the shadows emerged a gigantic black panther, its muscles rippling beneath its glossy fur, eyes glowing with primal hunger. It growled low, the sound echoing through the Colosseum. "That beast," Hancock said, smiling wickedly, "is Bakura, our former executioner. He hasn't eaten in 7 days. He devours anything we throw before him, so I suggest you fight with everything you have." Her sisters smirked beside her, certain that the beast would end this defiant man's life. But Goku didn't even flinch. He stood calmly, arms at his sides, eyes locked on Bakura. The massive panther crouched low and lunged, claws extended, jaws wide open. The crowd screamed. Then, boom! Goku's leg snapped upward in a blur, connecting cleanly with Bakura's jaw. The force was cataclysmic. The beast was launched skyward like a fired cannonball, vanishing into the clouds above. Everyone gasped and looked up. For a long, breathless moment, the sky was silent. Then, CRAAAASH, Bakura's limp body came hurtling back down, smashing into an empty section of the stands. The impact cracked the stone flooring beneath it, sending dust and debris flying. The crowd was stunned into silence. A mere man, someone they thought weak and doomed, had just defeated their executioner with a single kick. Goku turned slowly toward the Empress and her sisters, rolling his shoulders with a confident smile. "All right," he said, cracking his knuckles. "Who's next?" Annoyed and flustered, Hancock arched her back, her voice sharp as she pointed at him. She nodded to her sisters. "Take him out for me, will you?" Hancock asked, voice smooth as silk. "Of course, Empress Hancock," the two echoed in perfect unison. Sandersonia and Marigold slid into the ring with smiles that didn't reach their eyes. In a blink, they changed into their true forms. Both grew larger, their bodies adopting strange, serpent-like traits. Marigold's belly swelled big and heavy, her lips puffed and thickened, and her long orange hair fell wild and unruly down her back. Sandersonia's head widened unnaturally, a forked tongue flicking loose as her body thinned into a long, sinuous shape like a forked snake. Their movements hissed with menace. Hancock crossed one leg over the other and rested her hand on her knee. "Once you beat them," she asked casually, "you'll forgive me for turning her to stone, won't you?" Her voice was velvet wrapped around steel. She already expected the answer. "If you think I'll forgive you for what you did, then you're out of your mind," Goku snapped, disbelief cutting through him. Hancock clutched her chest with a mock hurt. "How? How can there be a man immune to my charms?" She gasped, stunned. Around them, the crowd roared even louder, calling for revenge and throwing insults at the man who dared disrespect their empress. Goku grinned, calm and cocky. "You've got something wrong," he said. Hancock peered down at him, waiting for the punchline. "You still think I'm gonna lose." Annoyance flashed across Hancock's face like lightning. "Sisters, get rid of him now," she ordered. The fight between Goku and the two sisters began in a heartbeat. Goku scanned the ring. He could feel power thrumming under his skin. If he attacked at full strength, he might hurt them too badly, or tear the island apart. He forced himself to hold back. He lowered his power to the level he could control and still win. Marigold swung an enormous axe with a sound like thunder. Goku jumped back, the blade missing him by inches as it slashed from shoulder to hip. She didn't stop. She pressed the attack, forcing him to dodge and circle. Goku studied her strikes, learning the rhythm of her power. He ducked a blow meant to split his head and, in the same heartbeat, saw Sandersonia coil up to strike from the side. He rolled away from the tail lash, barely escaping. The sisters worked together in a storm of hits, but none touched him. He moved faster than their eyes could follow. Marigold spat a purple ooze that hissed as it hit the ring, melting the stone a little. Goku frowned. Better not get hit with that, he thought as he continued to dance away. Sandersonia kept the pressure on, but Goku felt something shift. Marigold had slipped behind him, axe raised for another strike. Clever, but not clever enough, he thought. Marigold's blade came down, aimed to crush his skull. Goku braced. He had one chance. He slammed his fists into Sandersonia's jaw. She fell hard, body smashing the ground and making the arena shake. Rocks and dust flew into the air. Then, Goku twisted and grabbed the axe as it fell, bare hands catching a moving blade. Marigold's face hardened. Not many could stop a flying axe with their palms. They locked in a brutal tug of strength. Marigold shoved hard. Goku pushed back. He found the opening, wrapped his hands around the handle, and used the leverage. With a grunt, he heaved. Together, they flew across the ring. Marigold slammed into the far wall with a thunderous crash that sent stones and dust into the crowd. Spectators ducked and coughed to avoid the spray of debris. Goku alone stood steady in the center. He turned to Hancock and cracked his knuckles. "I guess I win, right?" he said, smiling. "Not yet," a voice hissed behind him. Marigold and Sandersonia's laughter curled from the dust. Two dark shapes moved within the cloud of rubble. As it cleared, Goku's stomach dropped. Sandersonia was tossing the stone statue like a game ball. Marguerite's frozen form tumbled end over end. "Stop! What are you doing?" Goku shouted. Sandersonia looked at the statue, then back at him, smiling like a creature that enjoyed breaking toys. "I'm going to crush her," she whispered. Fear hit Goku. If that statue shattered, Marguerite might be lost forever. He pleaded at Sandersonia. Then he shouted at Hancock. "This is between us. Leave her out of it." He began to move forward, ready to grab the statue, but worried his rush might shatter it. Then an idea crossed his face, bold and risky. "Go ahead, crush her. See if I mind," he said, voice casual. The crowd hushed, stunned by the sudden change from pleading to challenge. Sandersonia grinned and lifted the statue high above her head, ready to hurl it down. Her arms strained as she climbed to the highest reach she could manage. "Come on, a little higher," Goku thought. When the statue reached its highest arc, Goku dashed at lightning speed straight at Sandersonia's face. He shouted the move with all his focus. "Solar flare!" A blinding flash erupted, so bright it painted the whole arena white. Every eye snapped shut against the light, except Goku's. He moved in the blindness like a ghost, hands finding cold stone. He grabbed the statue and, with a single powerful kick, sent Marigold and Sandersonia tumbling to the ground. The crowd screamed and stumbled, blinded and confused. Dust and blinding light filled the arena as Goku held the statue tight, heart pounding, ready for what came next. Hancock gritted her teeth as the afterimage of the blinding light faded from her vision. She blinked hard, and when her sight cleared, she saw both sisters sprawled on the ground and only one man standing in the center of the ring. "What did you do?" Hancock snapped. Goku brushed dust from his clothes and shrugged, the statue cradled carefully on his shoulder. I just used an attack that blinds the opponent for a moment," he said plainly. Then, before anyone could react, he vanished and reappeared beside the throne, this time in front of Hancock and the unconscious Monkey D. Luffy. "Ah, big sister!" Sandersonia and Marigold cried out, panicked at the sight of the Saiyan so close to their leader. But instead of attacking, Goku set Marguerite's stone body gently down near the throne to keep her out of the crossfire. The simple, protective gesture seemed to confuse and anger them in equal measure. Goku crouched and laid a hand on the cold shoulder of Marguerite. He lowered his voice as if the statue might hear him. "I'll beat them and turn you back to normal. I promise. I don't know if you can hear me, but..." He paused, then rose and walked up the arena steps toward the sisters. Hancock huffed, annoyed. "Bah! You men are troublesome." Goku stopped, turned, and fixed the Empress with a steady look. "You just pissed me off," he said simply. The words hit Hancock with a strange weight. For a moment, she looked faint, as if the Saiyan's blunt honesty had stunned her. "Big sister!" Marigold and Sandersonia shouted as they leapt up, fury in their eyes. They rushed Goku, who vanished again, leaving only air where he'd stood. Blows met empty space. He reappeared behind them, arms folded, and spoke without moving. "Whatever issue you have with me, leave my friends out of this. This is between you and me only." Hancock bristled. She hated being ordered, especially by a man she considered beneath her. Her face flamed with fury, but for reasons she could not explain, her cheeks also warmed in another way. She shook the feeling off and barked the command. "Sisters, finish him!" "Yes, big sister," the two hissed. They spread out and readied themselves. Marigold's body burst into roaring flames. Sandersonia's hair twined into living serpents, hair that hissed and snapped like steel. "This time, we go full power," Marigold warned. Goku looked at them, lips twitching into a grin. "I guess I'll go full power too," he said, then clenched his fists and tightened his jaw. Inside, he was holding back. He didn't want to kill, only to win. He let out a raw cry that rolled like thunder. "Ha!" Heat and pressure radiated from him, the island seeming to tremble as his body flickered with a red, blazing aura. He shouted the name of the technique as his chest burned. "Kaioken!" The sisters recoiled. "What devil power is this?" Marigold hissed, eyeing the red glow as if it were a new kind of fruit ability. Hancock snapped, "Enough! Take him down!" They lunged. Goku blurred, gone from sight, then reappeared behind Marigold, hands cupped at his side. She spun to face him. "Kob-mi-ha-mi," he began, the old rhythm finding his mouth even as the red aura danced about him. "No!" Marigold screamed. Goku roared, "Ha!" and thrust his cupped hands forward. A blue sphere of concentrated energy blasted from his palms, bright, pure, powerful, and struck Marigold square in the chest. The impact shoved her off balance and slammed her into Sandersonia. The collision set Sandersonia's hair serpents alight. "No! Sister Sonia!" Marigold cried as the two tumbled and skidded toward a yawning pit lined with spikes. The arena erupted in screams. Goku sprinted after them and blinked from point to point, moving faster than the eye could track. He vanished from sight and reappeared beneath their falling forms. Grabbing them both, he rode them like a catcher catching a falling player, floating them safely back to the arena floor. The crowd went silent, then roared as the sisters lay stunned but alive. As Sandersonia attempted to rise, a corner of her cloak slipped, exposing the pale, glassy Gorgon mark on her skin. A shriek ran through the stands. "The Gorgon Eye! If we see it, we will turn to stone." Terror spread like wildfire. Hancock sprang to her feet. "Everyone, get away! Hide your faces!" she cried, pointing to the gate and signaling an evacuation. The Kuja women fled in a panic. Before Sandersonia's exposed mark could cause disaster, Goku leapt and threw himself onto her back, pressing his hands and body against the spot to shield it from sight. "Don't move," he told her quietly. Marigold, frantic, rushed to help and straightened the cape back over the mark. Sandersonia sighed with relief and peered up at the Saiyan, who had risked everything to hide her shame. Why did you help us?" she asked, voice raw and wary. "We were your enemies." Goku paused. For a moment, he looked at Hancock, who stood with a trembling hand at her cheek, hurriedly wiping away tears she didn't want anyone to see. Goku's voice grew soft. "Whatever this is you hide from your people, it doesn't change what's right. Besides, I don't think either of us really wants this fight to keep going." He hovered there a beat longer, then flew toward Hancock. She saw him coming, tried to steel herself, then blinked as he landed near her. He folded his arms and asked, quietly, "Will you keep your side of the deal?" Hancock opened her mouth to respond, but before she could, a groggy voice broke through the quiet. "Huh? Oi, spiky-haired man, can you get me out of these?" Both turned. Luffy was finally awake, twisting against the ropes that bound him. Goku smiled faintly and glanced toward Hancock. She didn't even bother objecting this time. Her silence was permission enough. "By the way," Goku said as he walked over, his grin returning, "it's not spiky-haired man, it's Goku." With a gentle tug, the rope snapped like threads, falling uselessly to the ground. "Thanks, Goku," Luffy said cheerfully, jumping to his feet and extending a hand. Goku laughed and shook it firmly. "Ahem." The deliberate sound from the throne drew both men's attention. Hancock sat upright, her expression unreadable. Luffy turned toward her first. "So, will you turn her back to normal? She didn't do anything wrong. She just helped us." Hancock's eyes drifted closed. Never before had she truly considered obeying the request of a man. Even entertaining the thought made her chest tighten with unease. But then, an idea flickered in her mind. A test, a way to reveal their true nature. Slowly, a small, knowing smirk crept onto her lips. "I do possess the ability to reverse the petrification," she said at last, voice smooth and deliberate. "However, I will grant only one request between the two of you." Both Goku and Luffy blinked in confusion. "You mentioned before that you needed transportation off this island," Hancock continued. "Here is my proposition. I will either reverse what I have done to this woman," she gestured gracefully toward Marguerite's still stone form, "or I will grant you safe passage off this island to wherever you wish to go. But Her voice sharpened. "Only one of you will leave this place." The words hung heavy in the air. Goku and Luffy stared, stunned. "Wait! You can't do that!" Luffy burst out, fists tightening at his sides. "We both need a ship. You can't make us choose." But it wasn't just about the ship. What burned inside Luffy was the thought of having to leave someone behind. The Kuja Empress was forcing them to choose between each other, and that wasn't something Luffy could ever do. He never abandoned friends, no matter how short a time they'd known each other. Goku had already proven himself, and in Luffy's heart, that was enough. He was about to step forward and demand Hancock help both of them, when Goku quietly moved in front of him, one hand raised to stop him. "Luffy," Goku said calmly, his tone serious for once. "It's okay. I know how important it is for you to get back to your friends." "But then you'll be stuck here," Luffy protested. "It's fine," Goku replied, smiling gently. "There's no point in arguing. You need to go more than I do, and we both know it." The two locked eyes, each trying to read the other, neither willing to back down. Seconds stretched into minutes. Then suddenly, both broke into laughter, loud and full of warmth. When the laughter faded, they turned toward Hancock, who watched silently, her arms folded. She was waiting for their answer. Then Luffy did something that stunned the entire stadium. He dropped to his knees and bowed low, pressing his forehead to the ground. "I never abandoned my friends," he said firmly, his voice echoing through the silent arena. "So please, turn her back." Goku followed, kneeling beside him with that same bright, unshakable grin. "Yeah, the same goes for me. I'd rather be stranded here than choose myself over my friends." From the far stands, an elderly Kuja woman, Gloriosa, watched in silent awe. The sight before her was something she hadn't expected to see in her lifetime. "To make such a decision without hesitation?" she whispered, eyes narrowing thoughtfully, especially with strength like theirs. That boy, his haki alone could shake the heavens, and yet he bows his head so easily. She turned her gaze toward Hancock, noting the rare uncertainty flickering across the Empress's flawless face. "What will you do now, Hancock?" Gloriosa murmured. And that's it for today's episode, guys. If you watched to the end, then that could be an indication that you enjoy the series. So please leave a like on the video. Thank you and take care.